Hey there, folks, settle in, because I've got a story that'll make your jaw drop. A tale of a simple backyard fence that turned my quiet suburban life into a full-blown showdown with the neighborhood's iron-fisted HOA queen. My name's Ethan Carter, and when I moved to Willow Creek, a sleepy little cul-de-sac in upstate New York, I thought I'd found my slice of heaven, a place to escape the grind of city life, sip coffee on my porch, and maybe finally plant that herb garden I'd been dreaming about. But oh, man, I had no idea the storm that was brewing over a few planks of cedar. Picture this. It's 2023, and I'm fresh off a decade in Brooklyn, burned out from honking taxis and 2 a.m. sirens. Willow Creek was everything I wanted: tidy lawns, kids on bikes, trees whispering in the breeze. My house sat at the end of the street, with a big backyard that stretched right up to a pine forest. It felt like my own private Narnia, except the only thing missing was a decent fence. The old chain-link eyesore the previous owners left behind wasn't cutting it. Deer wandered through like they owned the place, and I could feel every neighbor's eyes on me when I tried to enjoy a beer out back. So, I did what any reasonable guy would do. I researched, got permits, hired a local crew, and put up a solid wooden fence. Nothing fancy, just a classic 6-footer, stained to match the house, well within my property line. For a few weeks, life was perfect. I'd sit out there, birds chirping, feeling like I'd cracked the code to the American dream. Then the whispers started. My neighbor, Tom, a grizzled retiree with a handshake like a vice, caught me mowing the lawn one day. "Nice fence, Ethan," he said, squinting at it like it was a ticking bomb. "Just watch out for the HOA. They're particular." I laughed it off. I'd dotted every I, crossed every T. What could they possibly have against me? But then Mrs. Larson from down the street chimed in, all nervous smiles, saying, "You know, Patricia Knowles, the HOA president? She's got a knack for spotting violations. Runs this place like her personal kingdom." I started hearing stories: fines for planting the wrong flowers, nasty letters over a mailbox that was too modern. Patricia's name kept coming up, like she was the Darth Vader of suburbia. Still, I figured I was in the clear. My fence was legal, my paperwork was ironclad. What could go wrong? 2 months later, I found out. A thick envelope from the Willow Creek HOA showed up in my mailbox, sealed with this pretentious little crest, like it was straight out of a medieval court. I opened it, expecting maybe a welcome note or a trash pickup schedule. Nope. It was a cease and desist letter claiming my fence violated community standards by encroaching on public land and obstructing a planned greenway project. I'm sorry, what? I'd never heard of any greenway, and my surveyor's map showed my fence was a good 10 feet inside my property. The letter ended with a threat: tear it down in 7 days or face fines, liens, maybe even a lawsuit. My stomach churned. This wasn't a mistake, it was a shakedown. I pulled out my permits, called a lawyer friend, Mike, who confirmed I was 100% in the right, and fired back a polite but firm letter to the HOA, complete with copies of every document. A week later, their response came, and it was like they doubled down on crazy. The fines were now $500 a day, and the tone was straight up hostile, accusing me of undermining the community's aesthetic integrity. I was livid, pacing my kitchen, when my phone rang. "Mr. Carter," a voice snapped, sharp as a whip. "This is Patricia Knowles, HOA president. Your fence is a problem. Take it down, or we'll handle it ourselves. Trust me, you won't like how this ends." I tried to reason with her, laying out my case, but she cut me off. "You don't get to decide what's right here." "I do." Click. That's when I knew this wasn't about rules. It was personal. I went to work the next day, trying to shake off her voice, but when I got home, my heart stopped. My backyard looked like a war zone. The fence was gone, not just gone, but obliterated, planks splintered, posts ripped out and tossed into the bushes. My newly planted maples were snapped in half, my flower beds trampled into mud, the irrigation lines I'd spent weeks installing yanked up and scattered like confetti. I stood there, fists clenched, feeling like someone had punched me in the gut. Who does this? I knocked on doors, hoping for answers, but my neighbors just mumbled and looked away. "Didn't see anything," Tom said, staring at his shoes. "Don't want trouble," Mrs. Larson whispered. It hit me they were scared. Scared of Patricia. Thank God for my security cameras. I pulled the footage that night, hands shaking, and there it was, a crew in unmarked trucks rolling up at 10 a.m., tearing into my yard like a pack of hyenas. And who was standing there, pointing and barking orders? Patricia Knowles, in her crisp blazer, Looked like she was directing a military raid. One worker hesitated, saying something about permits, and she shut him down cold. He had his chance. Keep going. I saved that video to the cloud, called Mike, and by morning, we were in his office, planning a lawsuit. Ethan, he said, grinning, this is a slam dunk. Trespassing, vandalism, emotional distress, she's done. But I wanted more than a courtroom win. I wanted the truth out there. So, I posted the footage online, just a quick clip with a caption, "This is what my HOA did to my legal fence." By midnight, it had thousands of views. Comments poured in, "This is insane." My HOA did the same thing. Local news picked it up, and suddenly, Willow Creek was the talk of the town. Neighbors who'd stayed quiet started speaking out, sharing stories of Patricia's reign of terror. Fines for kids' chalk drawings, threats to foreclose over a late fee. Mike dug deeper and found gold HOA records showing Patricia had been treating community funds like her personal piggy bank. $2,000 spa weekends, first-class flights, fancy dinners, all labeled as board expenses. The woman wasn't just a bully, she was a crook. The trial was a circus. Patricia sat there, all smug in her designer suit, while Mike played the video for the court. You could hear a pin drop as her voice echoed. He had his chance. Then came the financial records, the forged permits she'd cooked up to justify her Greenway lie, and testimonies from neighbors who'd finally found their courage. One woman, Sarah, choked up describing how Patricia threatened to sue her for painting her door blue. The judge's face said it all, he was done with her. When the verdict came, I could barely breathe. I won $150,000 for damages, but the real kicker? Patricia got 18 months in prison for fraud and vandalism. As they let her out, she was still yelling, "I was protecting the community." Nobody bought it. The courtroom buzzed, neighbors hugging, some even clapping. After the dust settled, I rebuilt my fence, stronger this time, with a gate that locked tight. My backyard bloomed again, new trees, new flowers, a space that felt like mine. But Willow Creek changed, too. We voted in a new HOA board, one that listened. I even ran for a seat, figuring I'd fought too hard not to have a say. Sitting on my porch now, watching the sunset, I feel a peace I didn't expect. This fight started with a fence, but it ended with a community that finally stood up. So, here's the thing, was I right to push back? Or did I escalate a war that could have been avoided? What would you have done? Drop a comment, share your own HOA horror stories, or tell me if you think justice was served. Hit that subscribe button if you're into real stories about real people fighting for what's theirs. Thanks for listening, folks. I'll catch you in the next one.